welcome back to another moon update. Today we do have a full moon in the sign of Pisces, and my spirit guides have literally been downloading these messages for me since like Saturday. So I have a pretty good idea about what we need to talk about today, but I did still want to pull cards just to see if there are any further messages that come out through the cards or if it matches the messages that I've intuitively been receiving. So I did start shuffling and this card already came out, so I'm going to take it. It's the Trust card. I'm going to pull another oracle card. So in the meantime, I'd love to know, how are you guys feeling? How are these energies influencing or affecting you? I think this is supposed to be a heavy one, even though it is in the dreamy, beautiful sign of Pisces. Because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, I think it is going to have a little bit of a harshness, having to face some difficult truths, having to hear difficult truths, accept difficult truths, that sort of thing. I was actually so excited for this moon, like all weekend, and usually during a Pisces full moon, the ocean is so beautiful. It's so crystal clear and just sparkly and gorgeous. So I was really anticipating going with my sons tomorrow. I wanted to have like a beach cleanup and do some yoga and breath work and meditation and cleanse in the healing salt water. But then I heard the news that there's like a hurricane that's supposed to come literally tomorrow. There's a hurricane that's coming. It's not coming to like my side of Florida, like where I live, but still probably am going to get affected by the weather. So yeah, that plan I feel like went out the window, but I'm still holding hope. I'm still gonna, be vigilant of the weather and see if it's a good idea or not. And if it's not, then I'll plan a trip for this weekend. But I'm a little bummed out because I was really looking forward to like having a beach day on the Pisces full moon, but it's okay, I'll live. Also, I did want to mention before we get started, I am working on an all signs energy check-in for the 12 zodiac signs. I've already completed half of it, so I started with Virgo since it's Virgo season. So I did Virgo to Aquarius, and that one is basically ready. I decided I'm going to release them in 2 parts. So the first part should be out really soon, and then the second part from Pisces to Leo will be out soon after. I still have to start recording for those. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know so you're aware of what I'm working on, what's coming up next on the channel. Okay, I'm gonna stop being distracted and pull the tarot, even though I feel like I may not necessarily need the cards today. I'm just curious to see. What comes out. I do have a natal moon in Pisces, so this is my moon, my full moon. Usually I feel really good under the Pisces full moon, but for some reason this one has a little bit of a heaviness to it. I don't know. I'm gonna pull one more. This is so crazy. I can already tell that the cards are basically like mirroring the messages that I was receiving. Let's see, how should I put this? Excuse me while I organize these cards. Interesting. No more hiding. Okay, so let's get started. So like I just said, this moon is happening in the sign of Pisces. By the way, this is also a blue moon, which means that it's the second full moon in a month. So usually we only have one full moon in the month, and it's rare when we have two full moons in a month, and this moon would be that moon because I think it was actually on August 1st that we had an Aquarius full moon, and now we're having this full moon on the last day of August in Pisces. So that in and of itself is already pretty significant in my opinion. And like many of us may already know, Pisces is the last sign on the zodiac wheel. So this means that all of the energies that are present in all of the other zodiac signs culminate in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces carries all of the wisdom and experience from all of the other zodiac signs within it. So this is a reminder to us that everything is connected, right? That we are all connected, that we are all one. It's kind of like accumulating all of that wisdom, all of those experiences, and then getting to a point where you realize how it's all connected. Pisces is also a very spiritual sign, a very intuitive sign. It's one of the signs that rules spirituality and spiritual practices. It's a very feely sign, a very feely placement, because it can feel all things on such an intense level. It just like absorbs all of the energy around it. And so that's why it can get that reputation of being very sensitive or absorbing like other people's emotions, taking on other people's energy without even knowing it. You have to take very practical steps to build something, to grow something in the material world. But Pisces is the energy of what can you create with those things that you grow and that you build. What can you make with it? So it's like if you grow a garden, it's being able to then take the things that you grew, that you physically grew, and then make medicine out of it. So it's like, what medicine can you create with what you built or with what you grew? And that's the energy of Pisces. However, like any other energy, there's always another side to it, right? So Pisces does have a really dark side to it. And it has to do with like suffering, keeping things hidden, escaping, not trying to deal in reality, because reality can be painful, it can be hurtful, it can be too overwhelming. So there's a tendency to want to escape, to want to avoid, to want to isolate, to not want to face it, to stay in your own little world, in your own little bubble, trying to protect yourself from any pain and from any suffering. And so this is the theme that I was getting a lot of the downloads from Spirit, is around suffering, because oftentimes when we get hurt, when our ego gets wounded, or when we get challenged by life, we tend to attribute these experiences to something negative, to something that, we want to resist, that we want to fight against and avoid, which I just mentioned can all be tendencies of this Pisces energy. So I think this is something that we really need to be careful with this energy. And I think this is why this card came out, this no more hiding, because it's like, no more hiding, You're really being called to face the issues, the challenges that are coming up in your life, and to know that if it's coming up for a reason. We have to understand and to accept that everything happens exactly as it should, and that there's always going to be dual energy. We live in a dual world. There's always two sides to the coin. So if there's creative, beautiful energies, then there's also destructive, chaotic energies as well. They both exist. They're both here. None of these energies should ever be absent, because we do need both of these forces for things to be balanced. We have to understand that everything plays its role. It's just a matter of like learning how to use those destructive forces in a healthy way. But of course, this comes with time, with wisdom. And you can only develop wisdom through process, through a natural unfolding. And this type of growth, it doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time. We've all heard by now that one of the biggest keys to life is being present, is staying present in the moment. And that means facing whatever comes up in the moment to work through. Because whatever comes up in the moment is obviously something that you need to confront, you know? Especially if it's something that you continuously have tripped and fell over. The more times it comes up, it's like the more opportunity you have to like learn the lesson, to gain the wisdom, so that this no longer is an obstacle for you on your path. Like I said, Spirit has been giving me these downloads since like Saturday. So it's something that I have been sitting with and chewing on and contemplating. And it is really meaningful. I feel like it is an important key to life, you know, as a human here on this planet. So just to recap that a little bit, this full moon is asking us to surrender to the fact and to accept the fact that suffering is not necessarily a bad thing, you know, and when our ego gets hurt, this isn't something that's negative. This isn't something that we should fight against. You know, we're going to feel the temptation to want to isolate, to want to try to escape. But if you do this, you're keeping yourself in a prison, and you can be the reason of your own undoing. So it's about accepting what comes and moving through it with trust and with love, and accepting that if it's coming up, it's for a reason, and it's something that you need to work through. It's something that you need to confront. It's something that wants to grow you in some way, wants to make you aware of something, so that over time you can develop the faculties to have wisdom and to have discernment and to learn how to interact with any energy, whether it's destructive energy or creation energy, and to learn to work with these energies in a clear, higher way with higher vision. So like I mentioned, the things that you used to trip and fall over can no longer be an obstacle on your path, so that you can kind of close out that cycle and continue to progress and move forward. So it's not really a matter of deeming something good or bad. It's understanding that both of these energies are needed. Both of these energies exist in this world for a reason. So when, you know, something quote unquote bad happens, instead of resisting it, accept it, surrender to it. Know that it's God's will, and face whatever you're being called to face. And I think I brought it up in the last reading too, the Tao verse 2 or chapter 2, when I said, you know, that chapter talks about like, to know beauty is because you know ugliness. One can't exist without the other. So that's what that verse is really talking about, is like all of these energies, they're here for a reason. It's here to play its role, to play its part in whatever way is needed. We need both destructive and creative energies. They're both needed. One of them isn't bad. One of them isn't better than the other one. And this is why you want to develop your discernment and to develop your wisdom through the challenges that you go through, so that you can better learn how to keep these energies, these forces balanced. And, you know, you can learn how to interact with them in a balanced way. So you know where it is that you need to build and create, where you need to apply that energy, but you also know where you need to apply the destruction energy towards, to cut off things that don't work, or to end things that have served its purpose already, to move beyond things, to not place your energy in the wrong place, to not build and grow in the wrong place, in the wrong things. So this energy is also really calling us to be compassionate, because when challenges arise, when our ego gets hurt, it's kind of like a natural thing for us humans to, you know, want to blame, want to point the finger, you know, want to hold grudges. We could even get mad at God, you know, like, God, why are you doing this to me? Why are you punishing me like this? Am I that bad of a person, you know? Or we could want to get justice, you know, for being hurt, for being done wrong. And what this moon is asking of us is to reflect on why our ego thinks that our feelings are the one that's most important. You know, there's this story that I heard once, and it was like someone told Krishna, which is a Hindu god, there was no rainfall, and so his farm wasn't getting the water that it needed to grow, and so he was going through kind of like a drought, and his crops were dying and stuff. And so he tells Krishna, like, Krishna, make it rain, you know, my farm is dying, I need water, make it rain. Why aren't you doing your job? I need rainfall. And he said something like, I can do a way better job than you at controlling like the forces of nature. And Krishna was like, oh yeah, you think so? Okay, go ahead. I'd like to see you try. So he gave him the power to like control the forces of nature. So of course he made it rain like on his land, and he got what he wanted. But then something else, was super unbalanced. Like then like all of these natural disasters started happening. Like he was just messing up the balance. So it's kind of like understanding that we don't always know the best. We don't have the bigger picture like God does, like spirit does. If, your crops, your land, your farm isn't getting any rain, instead of being so self-absorbed and self-centered and like thinking that you're the most important thing in this world, it's about being able to see like there's a bigger picture. And maybe I'm not getting rain, but it's because somehow, some way that's balancing something else out. Because when this person then started making it rain on their land, everything else started getting messed up. He was like messing with the balance of things. And that was the lesson. He gave the power back to Krishna. Like, okay, Krishna, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry here. Like, I take it all back. You know what you're doing. And this is like a big message here that wants to come through. And look at the oracle cards that came out. Trust in the universe. It's like trust the universe. It's literally spelled out for us. Trust the universe. They have the bigger picture. Our ego likes to play God and likes to think it knows everything, and it doesn't know anything. Well, maybe that's mean, but it doesn't know everything. It definitely doesn't. And when you think you have the solutions and the answers and this, you're looking at it from a perspective of yourself, of like making yourself bigger or more important than anyone else. So it's like reflecting on, why does your ego think that your feelings are the most important? Remember that spirit doesn't waste anything. So whatever situations you go through, it's going to affect you and anyone else involved in the way that it needs to. God's will is bigger and knows more than us. So again, it's surrendering to that knowingness that everything happens exactly as it should. We can't demand that anything that arises should not arise. If it's coming up, it's for a reason. It's something that we need to confront, that we are being called to confront. And we have to be flexible enough to be fluid and soft. And that reminds me of that quote from Bruce Lee. You put water into the bottle and it becomes the bottle. You put it into the teapot and it becomes the teapot. Be water, my friend. Something like that. But also there's another one that I really love, and it's from Lao Tzu. And it's, water is fluid, soft, and yielding. But water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. So it's kind of like an irony that water is so soft and rock is hard, so you think it's tougher, it will overcome water, but no, water overcomes rock. It wears it away with time because it's so fluid, soft, and yielding and persistent, So once we can really like integrate these things, which of course is not going to happen overnight, again, process, time, unfolding, it takes us multiple go-arounds with certain lessons to really grasp it, and to really gain the wisdom from it and to grow from it and to learn from it. So if you can understand that this is the nature of reality, then life can be a satisfying journey, and it doesn't have to be, something that we just have to suffer through. It's about surrendering to spirit, because we know that spirit is all that there is. It's all divine. It's all God. It's all one. It all connects. It's all love, and only love is real. Okay, I feel like I'm getting to like cliche, peace and love and light. But yeah, it's real talk. So if you're going through any difficult situations that involves other people, this is a time to have compassion for everyone, no matter what role they're playing in your life. If they're playing a villain, a block, whatever it is, it's not about being at odds with them or focusing on like what their karma is going to be for hurting you. It's about understanding that whatever situation is happening at any time is affecting you and anyone else involved in exactly the way that it needs to. There are going to be destructive energies that we have to face, and this isn't a bad thing. It's just purely about acceptance, understanding, and just dealing with whatever is yours to deal with, and letting other people deal with what's theirs to deal with. All you have to worry about is you is yourself. Instead of blaming or pointing the finger, always come back inside to yourself. This is how we gain wisdom that will help us, also build up our discernment. So again, that we can identify destructive energies, building energies, and learn how to utilize them and interact with them in a way that's healthy and that's balanced. It's about understanding that, the more you want to fight for yourself and speak up and get the last word in, be right, be defensive, try to showcase your power, it's just showing a lack of wisdom. When you act in those ways, it shows a lack of wisdom. And that's not saying that, that is never appropriate. Of course, standing up for yourself and speaking your truth and protecting yourself, defending yourself is appropriate sometimes if you're being called to do that. But for the most part, our egos always only see our side, we don't have that bigger picture. So it's kind of like most likely we're coming from a place, a very selfish place. I always like to for example, if I'm driving and someone cuts me off or something, instead of thinking this piece of crap, learn how to drive, oh my gosh, you nearly caused an accident, what an asshole. Instead of reacting that way, I always try to be okay, well, maybe there's an emergency, maybe they're rushing to get somewhere, or I'll be maybe they have to take a dump or something and they're rushing to the toilet, to just kind of feel better, so that I don't fall into anger or something. So this is the energy that these cards are talking about. It's not necessarily giving the benefit of the doubt, but it's just being compassionate towards people and knowing when it's appropriate. Again, it's that discernment to know when it's appropriate to defend yourself and when it's just just put your hands up and let it go, because it's only going to drain your energy and stress you out, cause you stress, raise your cortisol levels for what, It's being able to be more selfless and not only see things from our perspective and have a little fit because, oh my gosh, you hurt me, you wounded me, or you're challenging me. It's not all about you, and it's understanding it's not always all about you. And that isn't the energy that is always going to work or be beneficial or useful, is to get angry and start cursing people out because you're no, I'm going to stand up for myself. No one's going to talk to me like that, or no one's going to treat me like that. It's being able to back down and to surrender to what is, and to consider that there's pieces to this puzzle, there's information that you just do not know. And so it's no one's fault, Everyone in the situation has to deal with whatever they have to deal with, has to confront whatever it is that they have to confront. And so when you have this level of understanding, this level of awareness, it can help with the burden of being a human on this planet. It's hard. It's freaking hard. But with this knowledge, with this wisdom, it doesn't have to be. You can be more surrendered. You can be more accepting. You can be more calm, more patient, more loving, more compassionate, more of a healing energy. You can embody more of that sattvic energy that we're all trying to work towards, versus being in the tamasic energy of destruction and drama and chaos and for what, That's just wearing you away. That's you being the rock that's being worn away by the water. It's time for you to be the water, Be water, my friend, like Bruce Lee said. And instead of seeing life as a fight, as a battle, as a constant war, like I mentioned, life will become satisfying. It'll become worth living, because it's the challenges, it's these things that we go through that gives us purpose and that gives us meaning, So it's time to stop hiding from these truths, whatever it is that you need to face. I feel like this is a moon that's really trying to illuminate something that you need to confront, something that you need to face, something that you need to surrender to and that you need to accept. That's difficult, that you have the temptation of wanting to escape from it, not wanting to think about it. But this moon is really asking you to connect, with your experience, with what comes up, and to develop that relationship with the universe. that discernment, that wisdom, that gnosis. This isn't a time to be detached, to only think about yourself, to only see things from your perspective, to think that your reality and what's happening to you is more important than what's happening to anyone else. This is a time to see how everything is connected and it all plays a role. It all has a role. And just trust the universe because it knows what it's doing. And the more that we resist it, the harder it's going to be. The more tension and conflict we invite into our life, into our energy. That's destructive. We don't want too much destruction in our lives. We need it just right. We're trying to balance it out just right to bring about a more peaceful, loving energy versus that energy that's super resistant and annoyed and hot and bothered all the time, Yeah, we have the Justice card underneath there, which again talks about balance and having the ability to see all angles. And even if you can't see it and make sense of it, it's just understanding, you know what? The universe knows what it's doing and knows more than me. I'm just going to have compassion for everyone involved, including myself. I'm going to face what I'm being called to face and move on from there, move forward from there. Okay, so just to end it, I wanted to pull some oracle cards from my own deck, and if we have time, I'll pull another oracle card from another deck that I like, just to see what comes out for us. So let's see if we have any further messages. I think that was everything. Let's see. Oh, I don't think they want to use my deck today. Okay, I'm going to take that as they don't want to use my deck for this particular reading because nothing was coming out. So let me see. I'll take one from here. Okay, so we have man of the earth, woman of the sky. And that's number 48, or number 12, which further reduces to a number 3. And the book says, I see myself in you, and you in me. We may seem to be so different, and sometimes yet so similar. Even beyond this, I know deep within that we are one. I can lose myself in your light and receive your light with my body. I can witness the darkness of your shadow and enter into it with my compassion. I can find the divine in our connection, letting go of what I thought I was. I can be broken apart to become as one with you, even if only for a second, and know the divine more intimately than ever before. Our passion leads us to each other, and in each other we find our true selves. This oracle brings you a message of sacred relationship that leads to divine understanding and experience. You are being opened up to sacred relationship, either in your current relationship or one that is on its way to you now, in human relationship and in divine relationship with the heavenly beloved. Know you are worthy of it, and keep a light of gentle hope and respect kindling in your heart as you anticipate the union with your beloved. Know that even when it is dark, when it challenges you, there is sacredness unfolding. The love of the divine wants to reach us not only in our happiness, but also perhaps more so in our darkest hour. Let it reach for you through your relatedness with another. And do not be afraid to be broken and opened, for in that cracking of what you thought you were, you shall begin to know what you are, which is heaven on earth. I mean, how much more perfect could that have been? And I almost feel like I want to cry, it's so perfect. But the poem is, how rare to be born with a name of love. What challenges await that I must face, or voice to listen to from above, telling what I must embrace. Each day I walk a path unknown, with no regrets for where I've been. Each experience is mine to own, no choices called to live again. How strong I am, I ask myself, the measured test unfolds each day. A blessing of enormous wealth inside the gift will always lay. Oh my God, hold on, I feel like I have to read that better. Hold on. How rare to be born with a name of love. What challenges await that I must face, or voice to listen to from above, telling what I must embrace. Each day I walk a path unknown, with no regrets for where I've been. Each experience is mine to own. No choice is called to live again. How strong I am, I ask myself, the measured test unfolds each day. A blessing of enormous wealth, inside the gift will always lay. Ah, that's so, so, so beautiful, and it just matches perfectly with everything. And I wanted to mention really quickly before we wrap up that, you know, it was talking about like a relationship, like a human relationship, but it also did mention like a divine relationship with the heavenly beloved. So I think that's more what it is. Honestly, it's like, maybe it is also like a human connection too, but more so I'm getting like everything is a relationship, you know. And we did have this Justice card, and that's a Libra card. And everything, we're in relationship with everything. So it's kind of like understanding that, you know, understanding our relatedness to everything, our connection. And when it says beloved, it reminds me of Rumi, because it says here, keep a light of gentle hope and respect kindling in your heart as you anticipate the union with your beloved. And I love that Rumi refers to the divine, you know, to God, to the universe as the beloved, because that's like our greatest love, you know, is the divine, and is to be able to like reunite with it. It's never a part of us. We're always connected to it, but some of us lose sight, you know. We lose our connection. So this is what this is talking about, is like being united with that, with your relationship to the divine. And like it said here, it says, do not be afraid to be broken and opened, for in that cracking of what you thought you were, you shall begin to know what you are, which is heaven on earth. And it says, let it reach for you through your relatedness with another, or with the beloved, you know, with the divine. So, so, so beautiful, you guys. And then at the bottom of the deck, it's the swan. And that reminds me of the story, The Ugly Duckling, where it's like, you know, it's ugly at first, or everyone makes fun of it because it's different, because it's ugly, this and that, but then it turns into something beautiful. So it's kind of like something that appears to be an ugly situation is actually a very beautiful one. But you're only going to get that perspective in hindsight. You're only going to get that perspective over time, through process, through surrendering. And this is how, you know, you build wisdom. And that is something that's beautiful. Okay, you guys, so these were our messages. I truly hope that this has served you. I'm so happy to have been able to give this message to you today. It feels like a really strong message. So let me know how you resonated with it, if you found it helpful. Remember, I also do personal readings if you would like to dive deeper into your specific situation. I would love to work with you. I'll leave my email in the description box below, so you can contact me if you're interested to get more details. I am going to be releasing part 1 of the Zodiac reads very soon, and then part 2 will come out shortly after that, so stay tuned for that. Wishing you guys all the best, so much love, big hugs. This moon has a strong potential to be very illuminating and to be very healing, and to remind you that everything is perfect, you know, everything is as it should be. So I hope you guys tap into these energies and really work with it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye.